Hello guys, Brotherhood member Mars here, giving you an online commentary for a 2v2 siege on Rome Total War. Here's myself, Brotherhood member Mars, who has brought the Rebel faction. I've gone under the name of Valtrith. This was my name before I joined Brotherhood, and this happened to be one of these many sieges that I did before I joined Brotherhood. Before I joined Brotherhood, I used to do a lot of sieges, and this happened to be one of the sieges that I defended. Rarely did I defend, but here in this battle, I am defending. So, in my army composition, I've brought myself 6 Egyptian chariots. I've brought myself what looks to be 8 Cretan archers, and I've brought 2 Amazon chariots. These Amazon chariots are one of the best horse archer games in the game. Their specifications are extremely good. They're well armored, they're fast moving, and when pitted up against the Pontus chariot archers, these Amazonian chariots, these fearless women, are going to massacre them. So these ladies are really crazy. They have a missile attack of 10, and they are excellent skirmish units. But like many chariot units, pretty much all chariot units, these guys are going to die extremely easily to pikes, so I'll have to be very careful. I've got myself 3 druids. These are meant for only barbarian factions such as Gaul and Britannia, but for some reason the rebels can field these units. And these guys can not only provide morale bonus to your troops, but in close combat and melee, these guys are really good. And they also cause a bit of a fear factor to enemy troops. So these guys chanting, they can really hinder the enemy. And these guys aren't that bad in combat either. Now I brought myself Cretan archers, one of the best archer units in the game. These guys will do a lot of damage. Alright, so joined along with me is my ally, Legit Mike, who has brought the Carthaginians. He's brought what looks to be 7 or 8 Sacred Band phalanxes. These are one of the best phalanx units in the game. They're one of the elite phalanx units with Royal Pikemen, Spartans, and Sacred Band. These are really good attacking and defensive troops, all-purpose troops, and are well armored, so they'll be excellent in melee. However, these guys can easily die to pile of fire, which are those projectiles that the Romans throw before they enter combat. And he's also brought Sacred Band cavalry. Although the specifications on these are not as good as, say, the Companion Cavalry and the Praetorian Cavalry, Sacred Band Cavalry is extremely good in charge and melee. Historically, the great general Hannibal Barca used Sacred Band Cavalry to destroy the Romans, as well as the Numidians, to destroy the Romans. So Sacred Band Cavalry, though underrated, are extremely good. Alright, and the attacking players are Jack Swagger, who has brought the Brutii Roman faction. He's brought 6 urban cohorts to fight in the city, and he's brought 2 Praetorian cavalry. So he's gone more of a infantry-based army, which is really understandable because in a siege you need a lot of infantry to sustain battle. Cavalry isn't really used much in sieges unless you're the defending faction, because then you can sally out and harass the enemy. Alright, if you notice here, he's bought 4 battering rams and some town watch. Because these town watch units are so inexpensive and they really can't hold their weight in battle, these guys are excellent units to be pushing rams, because often in sieges when people deploy cavalry, town watch, these ram holding units are often attacked, so they don't puncture a hole in our wooden wall right here, or any sort of wall. And so putting town watch is a good use because not only does it save money, but it also allows you to get more upgrades on your troops. Although, in my opinion, I would have gone with peasants, town watch is also perfectly fine. So that's really clever on his part. Alright, and his supporting teammate is a player named Audio. So he's bought the maximum amount of battering rams, which is 9. And this is a good idea because if, let's just say, one of the rams, they happen to burn down, what happens is that he can just switch out he can switch out with the other battering rams. So that's a really good choice. He's got peasant units, which is a really good choice, saves you money. He's bought some triarii to take care of our cavalry, although my cavalry is not really deployed over here. And he's brought no cavalry. He's brought 10 urban gold. It's all gold. So he's really going to try and rush in, so he can try and take us out through melee fight. He's brought 4 Roman archers and 2 archer auxilia. He's put all those archer units into tight formation, so he's really aiming to damage us very, very badly. So let's just see how this goes. And 4 great generals, 4 excellent armies. Let's see how the battle goes. Alright, so first thing I want to point out is that Legit Mike right here is made himself a bit of a square. Well, he's formed a bit of a spear wall right here. This is although he didn't know that he'd be up against so many urbans, he's done good stuff because by putting a spear wall right here, it deters the enemy, and often spears without any sort of way to outflank, you can't really defeat them, and these guys are excellent troops. So he's put his elite troops up in the front, and he's put some of his pointy infantry, or his lesser elite troops in the back. And I've got my druids taunting in the background. Can you hear that chanting? This chanting causes morale penalties and bonus to our troops, so these guys are really good. Alright, so he's kept his sacred band inside. I got druids located pretty much everywhere. Got spears over here. Alright, so we formed really defensively. After all, it is a siege. Possibly with my army is not meant to defend, but rather it's meant to skirmish. So let's see how I use it, and let's see how the battle continues. Alright, so if you notice that both Audio and Jack Swagger, they're sort of isolated from each other, so this means that they can't really support each other in times of need. One way this is good because they can attack at multiple points and split our armies in two, but it's also bad at the same time because we can harass him, and the thing is, since they're so far away from each other, they can't support each other. So if one is in trouble, then the other can't help them. So depending on the style of play and what's going on, it's often best to stay close to your allies so you can attack all at the same time. Alright, so nothing much seems to be going on at the moment. Really, we're just all docile here. Actually, I don't even think we've fully deployed yet, to be honest, because if you notice that this green line right here hasn't really dissipated yet, so I'm guessing that we're still in those early stages of the development. For new players in Rome Total War, in a siege, the defender always deploys first, so I mean, the attackers always deploy first, and defenders always deploy last. So, the defenders can see what type of army the attackers will have. Well, I believe we're still in our stages of getting things set and prepared. So everything's really quiet at the moment. We formed really defensively here. I got 3 archers in the back, 1 druids, 20 infantry, and some sacred bands right here. 2 cretans, sacred bands, and some druids in the middle. It's strangely enough, I got my general unit pinned right here. This is a good thing because the thing about Egyptian chariots are that since they don't really have any sort of special ability, like for example, light cavalry can form a wedge, these guys have the horn ability. This allows you to rally troops, and these units are good as general units. So yeah, and they're also very cheap. Alright, so the battle is finally kicked off, and Jack Swagger is slowly approaching our walls with his battering rams. Also on the other side, Audio is slowly approaching. With his 2 units. If you notice, strangely enough here, is that he put this unit into loose formation. This is good because, 1, it will lessen arrow fire, the damage from it, and often these watchtowers will attack peasants, and by having these guys in loose formation, they take less casualties, as opposed to a more thicker formation right here. Right, so I've deployed most of my chariots and skirmishers through the sides because nobody really had troops deployed on this end, and even if they did, I'd probably swarm them with the amount of cavalry I had. One thing about my strategy is I want to try and fight really close to the wall. By doing that, these watchtowers can immediately fire down on the enemy. Alright, so Legit Mike is moving his Sacred Band cavalry. He's trying to look for a place to place his cavalry so he can maybe do a surround and hit. With that cavalry, he should really try and deter and take out those peasants, but I'm guessing that Legit Mike was very, very defensive in this battle. Alright, so as you can see, I'm moving my chariots up extremely aggressively. I've got my Amazonian chariots running very far away. I'm not going to strike just yet because everyone's really clustered up together, and it seems like Jack Swagger has formed a bit of a defensive line right here, so really attacking at this moment is not really beneficial. Alright, so Jack Swagger and his Brutii forces have smashed down the gates. Alright, Audio has also smashed down the gates, if we look on the other side. Really, there's not much action going on over here. It seems like it's kicked off over on the other side because I've brought my chariots.
Look to the inner defenses! The walls have fallen to the enemy! The gods have abandoned us!
Alright, so Jack Swagger's managed to enter with his Brutii forces, but I managed to snag one of their cavalry units. Cavalry against chariots, it does not really end very well for the cavalry unless they're really, really fully upgraded. As you can see, that one's just routed with just 2 chariot units. Right, so my Egyptian chariots are right here, ready to strike at any time. These Amazonian chariots are ready to shoot from the backs. I'm gonna use my chariots.
The walls have fallen before the onslaught. Now we must rely on men to be a new wall.
I'm gonna use my chariots to try and take out the enemy cavalry. So 1, that'll be a waste of money for them, and on top of that, enemy cavalry can't take out any of my archers or hit us from the back. So I'm gonna try and take out those archers and make the best use of my chariots. Alright, so these chariots have completely decimated Jack Swagger and his Brutii forces. However, one big problem is I can't attack them now because they're inside the settlement. Once they're inside the settlement, chariots are not very good inside settlements. Their chariots and horse archers alike are only good in open field battles. So outside of the settlement, chariots and horse archers are godly, but inside of the settlement, infantry and heavy cavalry rule the world. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and use my Amazon chariots and kill some of those town watch units. I'm going to do this because, let's just say if Jack Swagger uses it to fight, take advantage. If I can damage them enough, then they can fight. Then they can run away and provide morale penalties to the enemy team. So Mike is moving his cavalry on the other side of the field. Audio has entered into the gates. This will be extremely tough because now, since the whole entire army is inside the settlement, now it's all up to infantry to duke out the battle. Urban cohorts, in comparison to Sacred Band, urban cohorts will easily smash Sacred Band. However, we formed very defensively, so it might be 50-50 at this stage. My druids are still taunting. And one fun fact about druids are that no matter how long they chant for, they never get tired, unless you tell them to run or something. So they will always stay fresh. I mean, these druids would make excellent opera singers, but damn, they got some nice stamina. Alright, so Mike's gonna get some of that Sacred Band cavalry. He's gonna just run all the way over here. Okay, so you just noticed that I put him in a bit of a chokehold here. I pretty much surrounded him. He knows that if he tries to outflank or tries to move up, I can shoot their backs with these Amazon chariots. May I remind you that these Amazon chariots have 10 missile attack, and that's without upgrades alone. So I've got gold on these, so it's probably 13 or 14 at this stage. So Mike is really defensive with this cavalry. I don't think he wants to lose such excellent cavalry at this stage. He believes that, I'm not going to speak for him, but I think he's going to try and save up his cavalry and use it to maybe outflank when all troops are tired, so we can turn the tide of the battle. But I'm not Mike, so I wouldn't know. But I don't know why he's not using his cavalry to maybe deter the enemy on the other side. Maybe he's just extremely defensive in this battle. I'm really not too sure what's going on here. So my Egyptian chariots are just staying out here. Oh yes, and another thing. We hosted this map on African coast, and the settlement was a barbarian village. Although it's a barbarian village, these Egyptian chariots do get bonus combat bonuses because we're in a desert map. Alright, so I've run out of arrows pretty much, and I've charged them straight into the infantry right here. What I noticed about these chariots are that, unlike the Egyptian chariots, these chariots have sides on the side, but these Amazonian chariots, they just don't have anything. Alright, so Mike's just used that Sacred Band cavalry and he hit that town watch. He's gone now, so now he's never gonna get that one back. There's really not much going on. This is a very slow battle at the start. Alright, so Jack Swagger's moving his army slightly. There's really not much going on. Alright, so Mike's got some cavalry here. I'm guessing he's just scouting the area. Alright, so Audio's put some Triarii in both his front and the sides. He knows that Mike's cavalry is deployed, so he's gonna try and do anything he can to try and deter his force. Alright, so Mike's left one of his units, and now these guys are gonna charge straight in. Alright, so Sacred Band Cavalry against that many urban cohorts really stand no chance. So now that Jack Swagger's eliminated the Carthaginian threat, he's gonna try and march forward so he can prevent these chariots from doing any damage, and so he can probably help his ally out. Alright, so Mike is just Mike with his cavalry is just tailgating them. He's gonna make sure that if the Romans show any sort of weakness, they can try and attack them from the back. Alright, so Audio's put Triarii here. Put Triarii there. He hasn't put Triarii here, but really doesn't make a difference at this point. Alright, so I've detached 3 of my chariot units over to Audio. Audio must be focused on Jack Swagger's position, and he's probably watching something else at the moment. However, I'm going to come in with my Egyptian chariots and look at the right time for when to strike. He's got a lot of missile units. I want to take a lot of those out. Alright, so he's put his back against to us. I guess it's a good idea because there's cavalry here, but I could bring my archers in over. But I didn't do that this battle because I was very defensive in this battle. Alright, so for running around this settlement, my guys are winded, so I'm just gonna wait here until they are fully rested. The thing about sieges is that sometimes it can go by really fast, and sometimes it can end very, very abruptly. So it can take a long time to finish sieges. And historically, sieges took many days, months, and maybe even years to finish. Unless there is a conditional surrender, but that hardly ever happens. Yeah, so sieges are often a very long topic. However, when the combat actually starts, the amount of battles and fights you can see within are actually insane. Sieges are essentially fights to the death, and for anybody who really loves action and dislikes waiting and really likes fights to the death without any sort of tactics involved. I mean, there's definitely siege tactics and such, but with just units and straight on fighting, sieges might be for you, but you might have to wait a while for them to drop. I got my Egyptian chariots right here. Not too sure what I'm doing with my chariots on the other side of the battle, but I'm moving them slowly. Alright, so I don't want to get too close to these archer auxilia. They're fresh, and because they're in tight formation, They can easily cause damage to my troops. Alright, so Audios put some Triarii in. These guys are good against chariots. Although they're not as effective as phalanx units, these Triarii will get the job done. And they're very cost-effective units. They got good morale and they're only worth 500. Alright, so really bad news for both the defenders and the attackers is that Desert Storm is brewing, so now my units can be concealed. Alright, so they've formed Testudo on the hillside right here, and now my Cretans are getting shots from the back. Although Testudo are good formations to use to deter from archer fire from the front, in the back, and in the back these guys are really bad. You can see these units are dropping down. This one's got 30, this one's got this one I changed, got 39, 33. So yeah, and my Cretans are good, well upgraded, so yeah, it really does make a difference. And these guys have been taunting for hours. Alright, so because of my color tone of the rebels, which are really a dark gray, it's very hard to see these guys from a distance afar. I mean, you could see it, it's like camouflage, so it's very well hidden. So if you're ever playing as the rebels, you have a dust storm happen by, and you can conceal units very easily. And put restrict camera, and all hell will break loose. So audio is really not doing very much. It's just a Mexican standoff over here. Alright, so Jack Swagger, after many years, has brought his urban cohorts. He's using up all of his projectiles. Oh, and like I said, Sacred Band not very good against pilots. This one's dropped down to 24 men, 22 men! 22 men. Jesus. Alright, so I put my chariots in so I can hit him from the back, but the Romans are throwing Pila, and unfortunately I lost one of my chariots. But I still you won, and these guys are pretty much out of ammo anyhow. So they're gonna charge straight in. Alright, so from the front, phalanxes are basically impenetrable, and it took very good commanders to try and use this. However, if you could get around the flanks, these phalanxes can be easily decimated. Alright, so as you can see here, instead of using that spear, they're now using a sword. But these Romans are trained in the way of the sword. I mean, they're not samurai or anything, but they're pretty good. And on top of that, because these guys have short spears, they can't really reinforce that unless they move up. So I'm using fire arrows, druids. Alright, so audio is really not doing much. If I was him, I would try and enforce Mike a bit, or maybe Testudo glitch through. Alright, so audio's sent a bit of a detachment force over here so he can hit from all sides. This is an excellent idea because when troops realize that they're pretty much cornered and that they're fighting from all sides, their morale can drop like a stone. So that's a very good idea on Audio's part, and since Audio has lots of infantry to spare, it's a really excellent idea. So kudos to Audio there. So he's brought his general unit in. I'm guessing he doesn't want his general to get killed. Alright, so I'm gonna bring my chariots from the back. I'm gonna hammer and anvil that. So he's brought his general along this alleyway right here. Alright, so like I said before about the chariots and horse archers inside of the campaign, inside of the settlement, these guys aren't very good at doing damage, and yeah, as you can see, Mike's cavalry has done a lot of damage to them, and he's able to stay alive. But me, on the other hand, I'm pretty much dead. Right, so my general unit is pretty much safe and sound over here. It's just blowing the horn every now and then. But with this many Romans over here and barely any damage done, we might be at a risk here because we can easily collapse any moment. However, because of those chariots, they are really scary. Alright, so that Sacred Band unit is near death. Alright, so they've just routed. So our first line has been completely crushed. And now 20 infantry, which are a lot less better than Sacred Band, are now about to fight all these urbans. Although they're tired and winded, these guys, because of the amount of training and sheer force they're going to bring to the table over here, they're going to crush us. Unless we can reinforce, we really have no chance of survival over here, and they could just roll us up. So Audio's not doing very much, he's just watching the show. Alright, so Audio's brought some of his urban cohorts over here. He's gonna throw his Pila, maybe. I'm guessing he already did. And he's gonna just fire shots from the back and try and take out the enemy as any way possible. My chariots are docile over there, they're just waiting for the perfect opportunity to strike. Alright, so because of those chariots I brought in, one urban cohort unit has routed, 2 urban cohort units have routed, but the thing is that our Carthaginian infantry is almost gonna rout. Alright, so because of that chariot, because of those Amazonian chariots,
army is in flight. Pursue them and drive them from the battlefield.
and so because of that chariot charge from the back, they've caused a lot of fear, and Jack Swagger's army is decimated at the moment.
The gods be praised.
Alright, so Jack Swagger's general is dead.
His men know their doom approaches.
So Jack Swagger's general is dead. Chariots may not do very much damage against infantry, but they can cause a lot of fear. And seeing maybe hundreds of these guys charging straight at you, I mean, not 100 in this case, but maybe in real life, if you were to see hundreds of these guys charging at you, you'd be very scared. So now that the threat on this side has been completely destroyed, Mike can now divert his attention. I can divert my attention to both these sides. Alright, so Audio is attacking with his urban cohorts. Mike's done really good to seal all the cracks here. He's just like flex tape, sealing all the cracks, and he's not allowing any of these urbans to pass by right here. And he's doing an excellent job of keeping them at bay so you can take them out. Alright, so you hear that sound in the background, those are the druids. Alright, so Audio has finally brought his troops over here. I'm gonna pause it for a moment. I brought my chariots in to try and take him out. Alright, so I've noticed that all the infantry are gone. So if I can try and take out those Triarii and try and get past them, I can maybe hit them from the back or take out their archers. But if you notice right here, they got their spears down. Look at this chariot unit right here. They've been completely crushed. Alright, so he's going to reinforce with another Triarii unit. Unfortunately, this does not work, and my chariots are destroyed in the process. I managed to save this unit, but it's not really going to do me very much. Alright, so the Romans over here are at a bit of a downhill advantage. Audio is using his peasants. We want to get rid of them.
Your gallant general has fallen and
Alright,
caused
so
his troops
I
much
failed to neglect
hardship.
this, but
Much better to have
I used my general as a bit of a hammer and anvil strike over here, and unfortunately they got caught up in a bunch of Romans, and this will cause a lot of morale penalties to my army, and this isn't very good because now everything's 50-50 because of that morale penalty. Rebel troops don't have good morale, so these guys are really terrible against other disciplined troops such as Carthage and the Roman families. So we're at a bit of a disadvantage here. And so, legit Mike has brought in his Roman, even more sacred band. Now, the detachment force that Audio sent is crushed. So Audio's gonna bring a bit more units over, and he's gonna reorganize and maybe strike again. Alright, so Audio's main bulk force over here. Alright, so Mike is attacking the archers. That's excellent use of cavalry right there. In sieges, if people bring a lot of cavalry, they mean they're going to try and harass and take you out as soon as possible. This is why you see lots of cavalry in archer armies, while one person just brings infantry. Your sub-commander based army. I don't think Audio sees this because he's more focused on his other army right here. But Mike is doing an excellent job taking out these archers, and he's really saving us right here because now I don't have to get my Cretans to always fire at them. I can get my Cretans to say fire at these Urbans. And so Mike is at the end of his luck, and because they're surrounded right here, they're gonna be killed off. So these druids are just taunting away. These guys, Cretans have a lot of ammo, so they can really cause a lot of damage. Alright, so Audio with his main bulk force, he's gonna attack after throwing all of his pilas. Alright, so this unit is just routed because of all the projectile fire. Can't really run, although he's run away. Alright, so now that they've gotten around the flanks of these guys, they can die very easily. Yeah, in my opinion, the phalanx is probably the best system of fighting. However, the problem with the phalanx is that it's so hard to reinforce the flanks that it's just very hard to do so. So cavalry, infantry, they can all go around the phalanx, but if there was no way for you to go around the phalanx, then and you just have a wall of spears maybe, the phalanx could be unbeatable. And Alexander was able to take advantage of this with his heavy cavalry, and he eventually beat armies that comprised of hundreds and thousands of troops. Although the Romans figured out how to take them out by going around the flanks, as you can see here. Alright, so at this stage, the Romans are being decimated over here. Alright, so legit Mike is fighting tirelessly against these Romans. Audio seems to be having the upper hand over here. This side is on the verge of collapsing. And if they break, then my archers are exposed, my general is dead, and all of Mike's troops are all on the other side. So coming over here to reinforce is going to take some time. By the time we do that, my army would have been crushed already. And he still has many more orders to go. He's got 1 and 2, and the other 2 that were over here. Nope, they've been destroyed. So his Urbans are now gone. He's got Triaria unit. he's not a peasant unit, but peasants aren't really a factor at this stage. Alright, so I'm putting the fire arrows right here. That's causing morale penalties. Alright, so this Sacred Band unit is now fleeing from the battlefield. This isn't very good because this flank is now going to collapse. These Cretan archers are no match for these urban cohorts. They're the elite of the elite. So I'm gonna throw in my druids right here. Alright, so things look to be going very good for audio. He's managed to crush this side. The general's right there. My Cretans are about to get decimated right here. One Sacred Band. I don't know how this guy's still alive. Kill him! This guy's heroic. Give him a raise. Alright, so my Cretans are now gone. Really, it's kind of expected. Urbans can crush Spartans if they wanted to. They could crush pikemen. They could crush pretty much about anything. So against Cretans, it's not gonna happen. And so Mike's realized this. He's bringing in all of his Sacred Bands to try and enforce. Although because of that, these routing archers, they're gonna have a bit of a morale penalty. It would be an excellent time to do a hammer and anvil strike right here, but we really have no more cavalry. So I have pitted these druids up against the Triarii right here, because because most of the Sacred Bands went to the other side. I pitted all my druids against Triarii. These druids are actually really good at combat. Alright, and they've routed those Triarii units. Druids are actually really good in combat. But the real fight seems to be happening over here. Legit Mike and Audio have both thrown in their generals. It's basically a fight to the death at this stage. Alright, so I'm gonna throw in my druids right here. There's only 2 guys left, so chanting with these 2 aren't really gonna do very much. So these guys are constantly firing. Attachment force over here has been crushed. Drac has been defeated, and at this stage it's just the final battle right here. Hello? Okay. Alright. Right, so they've pretty much won the battle here.
The leader of allies has been slain. This loss is hard for us, but harder still for his own people. Rome demands victory.
Alright, so it was a clear victory. Thought it was very close. I got 661 kills, Legit Mike got 613, and Audio got close to 500, and Jack got close to 400. Thought it was a really good match. Great display of teamwork, and I thought I used my chariots extremely well. So, good game to all players, and I hope you enjoyed this siege. Bye for now.